What's up, Desert Valley? I'm your president, Jarvis Bailey, and I'm excited to introduce a brand new series we're launching this season, the DVP Coaches Corner. Every year heading into the season, one of the biggest questions I get asked is, who's the coach? And I get it. At the youth level, the coaches are the foundation of any program because they're tasked with development. And here at Desert Valley Premier, we pride ourselves on having some of the best coaches out here in the valley. This season will be no exception. This video series will give our parents and the athletes a chance to find out a little bit about the individuals we've selected to lead our sidelines this season. You're gonna hear personal stories, coaching philosophies, and see firsthand the passion and dedication these individuals have. And this is just the beginning. We have even more exciting things in development that we're gonna roll out throughout the season that we're sure you, the athletes, and your families are gonna love. But let's get this kicked off and let's meet the coaches. We're back at the Coaches Corner, and my guest right now will be the gentleman we have selected to lead our Pee Wee Blue team, Mr. Billy Meraz. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Meraz is been with the program since its inception. You come from a football family. You have a lot of roots in the valley. Could you speak on that before we get into coaching?
Yeah. Born and raised as well as my whole family. All my brothers and my sister were born and raised here. We played here, played at Indio High. I was the only fortunate one of the family to go on and play at a higher level. Went to the Naval Academy. I played there for 4 years. Really got to see the intricate ins and outs of, playing at that level. And then I was fortunate to come, serve the military afterward. I was in for 10 years. Got out, came back, and me and my wife, this is where we wanted to raise our family around the rest of the family.
So homegrown product.
Yep.
Went to the Naval Academy, served your country, and now you're back to serve the youth of the place you were born.
That's right.
This is awesome. So tell us about coaching. What's your philosophy?
At least at the youth level, I think keep it simple. That's I mean, it sounds easy to do, but there's really like an art to it. I always say, if you don't practice it, you can't run it, right? Like there's been times and during games and stuff like that, you want to make adjustments. That's part of the game, is making adjustments, halftime adjustments, depending on how the game's going. But you can only deter so far off of what you've done in practice, because from experience, you try to run something that you've never practiced before, it's not going to end up well.
Yeah.
It never does. So you try and keep it simple. That's kind of my philosophy. Yeah.
No, I like that, man. I really like that, because as a coach, I also tell players, the habits you establish in practice are going to follow you into the game, which is basically the same thing. Like what you do in practice is what's going to happen in the game. And the truth is, you do get coaches and you do get who want to try things in the heat of the moment.
Yep.
And like you say, they don't always turn out bad, but
sometimes you get lucky. You do, but
they don't always.
Most
turn
of the
out
time,
good either.
most of the time, it's not right.
No, for sure.
You're put in a hole for a reason, and it's typically because the other team is just better than you. So
preparation is key. So I'm a big believer in preparing, practicing things, and then performing the things you practice throughout the week.
Right.
So, but why coaching? Why get into coaching?
I started coaching actually with my brother. He brought me over. I coached at Indio High. I was offensive coordinator over there 2015, 2016. We were there. After that, my son started, started getting older, wanted to play. So we started off coaching him flag football. We did the Friday Night Lights thing for a few years, and then as he got older, like we didn't want to put him in tackle right away, just because with all the negative things going around with it, with the head trauma and stuff like that. We waited. I think fourth grade is when he started, fourth, fifth grade, something like that. So, and that's ultimately what got me really into it, is just seeing, the start of the season, seeing kids not understand, what we're trying to implement and install. And then based at the end of the season, just seeing like the growth that these kids have had over, that few short months that we've been with them. It's just incredible. Seeing the light bulb go on, and then understanding why we're doing certain things, and being successful at it too. It was just, that was what really, excited me for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before we move on, just so everyone knows, Premier is the only program in the Valley that offers Guardian caps. Because the head trauma is a concern for everybody, right? But this program is the only program that issues Guardian caps. You don't got to go out and buy your own. We got them here for you already. So,
well, another thing I love about this program, because it's affiliated with JAF, and JAF, Junior All-American Football, is a weighted league. So you don't have these kids that are already overdeveloped. They're more developed than other kids are, going up against lighter kids, essentially making it kind of like an unsafe situation. At this level. I understand at high school, it's just who's ever in your age group, but I feel like the youth level, there's some safety issues with that.
Definitely. Shout out to Jeff. All right. Let's go left a little bit. Outside of football, how do you like to spend your time? What hobbies? Just how do you like to spend your time outside of football?
Yeah, I do all the normal stuff that everybody else does. Just spend time with the family. We got 3 little ones at home, my son plus 2 daughters. So we're constantly, right now, we're jumping back and forth between sports, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, football as well, and basketball. So we're doing that. Also, I'm in real estate as well, so real estate's kind of a passion of mine as well.
How's the real estate business right now?
Right now we're in season, so it's kind of it's on fire right now for probably the next month and a half. Interest rates have dropped a little bit, but it's going pretty well right now. Yeah. So and I also am investing. That's kind of another passion of mine, is buying, holding, and flipping and stuff too. So I do that on my spare time too.
All right, we're gonna keep going left.
Sure.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
So I actually had a chance to think about this, and just as I've gotten older, probably having dinner with my grandfather before he passed, and just to pick his brain away, because he didn't talk a whole lot. He was a World War II guy, and a lot of people from that generation, tend to not talk about a lot of the stuff that they went through and stuff. So I'd like to just kind of sit across the table from him and just throw questions at him, like similar to what you're doing to me right now. I feel like we could learn a lot about our family and where we've come from and stuff like that, because he wasn't a talker. So a lot of that was a big mystery on our side. So.
Small on words, big on action.
Exactly. Don't tell me, show me. Right.
Okay, so you're having dinner with your grandfather. Favorite meal, favorite restaurant? What are we doing?
Probably Mexican food. Gotta go Mexican food for sure. Maybe Rincon.
It makes sense. Indio. Rincon Norteño. Shout out to them.
Yep.
Okay. All right. How do you handle tough days, setbacks?
Oh, I love them. I think you have to have them in order to grow.
Definitely.
For sure. If everything's great and you're cruising along, you don't exploit any of your weaknesses at that point, right? Everything's great. We don't need to get that extra practice in, because we're undefeated. We haven't made a mistake. But I feel like when you lose, or when you have bad days, that's really when you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about your team, whether they give up or whether they they turn it on, or like that they welcome the challenge and they're ready for it, So it just, so because we are in the youth development, right? So not only are we trying to develop these kids athletically, we're trying to develop them as good citizens in the community, right?
Absolutely,
so,
that part.
So they have to be able to. I mean, it's not always going to be rosy in life, right? You're going to get hit in the mouth, right? And how you respond to that, I think is a true testament to someone's character.
And you know what's funny? This is why football. I love football, man. Basketball is probably my favorite sport. Sports in general do this, but I think football replicates life probably better than any other sport because you'll learn all that.
Yeah.
You'll learn how to get up after getting knocked down. You'll learn how to work with other individuals. It's not all about you.
Right.
You'll learn how to perform, how to function in pressure situations.
Right.
You'll learn how to come back from adversity. All of these things. It's one of the reasons why I say I don't coach football. I coach life. I just use football as a way to do it. But I'm glad you spoke to those things because I think football is one of those things that really prepares you for life. Especially if you go about them the right way. So all awesome stuff, man. All awesome stuff. What's some of the best? Actually, before I get into that,
all right,
let me ask you this: What do you feel is one of your biggest strengths as a coach?
Yeah, I think I touched on it a little earlier. Just keeping things simple, right? So I'm a big proponent to reps. Just have a game plan where you're going to execute it and you're just going to rep the hell out of it during practice, right? Rep, right? And so that way everybody knows what they're doing, right? And we have the next man up mentality. If somebody goes down, we always have somebody to fill that person's shoes that goes down, So, and everybody knows what we're doing because we've repped it, 200, 300 times in practice, and so there shouldn't be any questions when we go into that kind of, kind of stuff,
Now I'll jump back into the question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
What's some of the best life advice you've received? It could be football related. It could just be life advice. But what's some of the best advice you've received?
Yeah, I actually got this. I still go back to this quote every so often. I use this quote with my kids, with my wife, and it's whenever it never allows you to get too high and it never allows you to get too low. And it's never as good or as bad as it seems. So when you're winning, and you're crushing teams, all right, you're winning, but it's not that good, right?
Yeah.
It's not that good. You could get better, right? And when you're losing, you're getting smashed by teams, right? Well, we did some good things. It's not quite as bad. So, and that's usually the case. And the case in life too, right? Yeah. When you're just depressed about something that happens, you just take a step back, let it sit for a little bit. You'll realize, hey, this isn't as bad as how I felt when it first happened.
Yeah.
So that's something I constantly use to this day. Yeah,
I like that. So what are your goals for this season? What does success look like? You get to the end of the season, whether it be in the Super Bowl hosting a trophy, or at the end of the regular season. How are you going to measure success? What are your goals for this season?
I think anyone that's playing for DVP, the goal is to get a chip, right? Get a championship, right? That's the ultimate goal for sure. That's why we go into playing with this organization because they've shown that in previous records that they're a winning organization. So that's the ultimate goal at the end of the day.
It's where the best compete.
That's right.
It's where the best compete.
That's the end. That's the ultimate goal is to raise that trophy at the end, right? But I would say second to that is to set these kids up to be successful in high school, right? Because that's my level is the one just before high school. Is to give them the tools that they need to have a successful jump into the in the high school ranks and stuff like that.
And I'm glad you said that too, because when I was going to high school and probably when you were going to high school, I'm 43, so I don't know what the age gap is, but they would teach you the basics. They would teach you the fundamentals at the freshman level. You could spend that freshman season learning the fundamentals, learning the basics. Now there's no time for that.
No, they've learned it all already.
If you don't have the basics locked in, by the time you get to freshman, you're already behind the 8-ball.
Yep.
So it's really put the spotlight on the youth programs.
Mm-hmm.
The responsibility is ours to make sure we develop them. And no, I love that you said that, because we want these players, wherever they end up going to high school, that coach says, "Hey, where did you play youth ball?" And he says, "Premier."
That's it.
So, no, thank you. I don't really have any more questions for you, but is there anything you would like the athletes or the parents to know heading into the season, whether it's about yourself or about the team, or just any message you want to send to the players or their families about this upcoming season?
Yeah, just come out to DVP, play this year. I guarantee you won't regret it. You know, we're gonna have a hell of a time, and God willing, we're gonna be hosting a trophy by the end of the year too. So come on out.
Yes. All right. Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Meraz.
No problem.
Looking forward to the season, sir.